Hey, it's Justin from CanadaWhips.com. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to replace the cracker on the end of your whip. Let's get started. Your first step for replacing a cracker is obviously removing the old one. Ideally, you're just going to do that by untying the knot that attaches the cracker to the fall. However, if that's not possible, you might have to cut the cracker off of the fall. But you need to be very careful when doing so because you might end up damaging your fall. I'm going to show you how to untie the knot first. You can see that the cracker goes through this little loop in the fall and then gets attached to the end of the fall here. So I'm going to pull apart those two things and expose a little bit of the cracker, and then hopefully I can pull it out. And this is very tight. There you go, perfect. And then you can untie the cracker like that. Now, if you aren't able to do that, or you just don't have enough finger strength, or maybe it's really tight, I would recommend using a fid, which is just like a really sharp needle with a handle, and you can make one of these either by grinding down a screwdriver or you can just buy one, and those are really good for untying knots as well. Not just for cracker replacement, but knots in your whip in general. Anyway, once you've untied the knot here, all you need to do is untwist the old cracker to make the loop a little bit bigger, and then pull the fall right out. Now your cracker's off. Sometimes, as I said before, the cracker knot just might be too tight and too messy in order to untie the cracker. And in cases like this, you'll have to cut off the cracker. This is pretty tough to do because depending on the knot that was used and how tightly the cracker is into the fall, it's going to be hard to tell where to cut in order to cut the cracker off. My best advice is to try and cut the very back of the knot, so back here. And that way, hopefully the cracker will just pull off frontways. Make sure that you don't cut like this too early on, because if you do so, it's going to be hard to untie the cracker later because you don't have a lot of string to work with. So I try and avoid cutting up here until I know for sure that the cracker is going to be able to come off. And whenever I'm doing this, I'm making sure I'm not going to cut the fall at all. So I try and be very careful with what I'm doing. Here, I'll just focus the camera a little more for you. Yeah, it's stuff. Because if I cut too much into the fall, obviously I'm going to damage it. So I'm just kind of trying to skim out the knot like this. Or if you had an X-Acto knife, you're just going to very carefully kind of chip away at this knot, and hopefully it's going to come off. If, worst case scenario, you do end up cutting your fall on your nylon whip, it's not that big of a deal. It'll mean you're going to have to replace your fall sooner. But if you do that, just use a lighter and melt the end of the fall down so it's a little bit harder, and then that way it should stop it from breaking in the future. So as you can see here, I've cut away most of the cracker. Hopefully this next snip or two will be enough to get it off, and there we go. Basically, I've just cut a little piece off the back of the cracker and it just slipped right off. And my fall, still in good condition. I didn't even touch it. Now it's time to attach the new cracker onto the end of the fall. To do this, I'm going to take the end of the cracker. I'm just going to untwist it so a nice loop forms at the end of the cracker, like that. Then I'm going to take the fall, I'm going to put it through that loop, and I'm going to tighten it, like that. Okay, so our cracker is now on the end of our fall. Now we need to tie a knot. I'm going to zoom in just a bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop the fall around itself like this. Okay, so I've looped the fall over itself, and I have the cracker end just hanging out over here. And the cracker end is going to come through this loop, like that. So you can see I've kind of made this pretzel shape. The fall goes around and goes over itself, and the cracker comes behind the fall and goes through this hole. From here, I'm just going to tighten the knot. And when I do this, I'm making sure that the fall end doesn't go through the loop. I only want the cracker to come through the loop. So I kind of push with my thumb down here to tighten it, and then I just pull tight like that. Pull nice and tight to make sure that it's not going to come off when I'm cracking. So the reason this knot works so well is because when the cracker gets pulled forward from being cracked, you can see that the end of the fall is just too big to go through the little hole that we've made in the knot. This is going to stop the cracker from flying off or the fall from going through and then making a knot in the fall. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time just with the other whip that we took the cracker off. So you're going to take the cracker here, you're going to untwist it to make a nice little loop at the end. You're going to put the fall through that loop, and you're going to tighten it back up. Then you're going to take the fall and go over itself like that. And then the cracker is going to go around the back and through that hole there. And then we just pull tightly and we make sure that this fall end doesn't go through the hole that we've made there. Just like that. There's your knot. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to learn more about whips and whip cracking, check out our website at canadawhips.com.